This is AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, an almost regularly scheduled open discussion on audio and video in higher education. We'll sound off about our most brilliant ideas, our dumbest mistakes, and everything in between. And because this conversation will almost certainly go off the rails at some point, we'll end up covering just about everything else. And now, the AV SuperFriends. For October 18th, 2024, it's the best sounding podcast in higher ed. This is the AV SuperFriends Off the Rails, episode number 97. 3 more to go, and then we're done.
We made it.
That's it. That's the contract. Broadcasting live across 4 time zones from coast to coast, easternmost to westernmost, northernmost to southernmost, gate post to hitching post. I'm your local host who can boast the most milquetoast and utmost humility. I'm Chris Dexter. Time for another Friday afternoon podcast adventure. And let me go over to this screen.
Push the button. 12.
I didn't push it yet. Hold on.
Just push.
Let's say hello to today's panel of AV SuperFriends. So today, there it goes. I'm joined by a future impact producer from Kansas City, Jamie Reinhardt.
Hello from the future.
You want to get right up on that mic there.
Yeah. Hello from the future.
Hello from farther away from the microphone.
The future needs better gain.
The future is gain.
Still important in the future, just as much as it was back then.
Also joined by an internal resonance developer from Corvallis, Oregon, Mark Kolowazinski.
You guys hear that?
I'm hearing some resonating.
Maybe it's just right here. Sorry. All right,
it's only internal. Yeah. I picked that because you were telling me about your wall plate that's vibrating shit today. So,
what?
Yes, there's wall plates with fans on them. Go get them.
Also joined by a regional solutions facilitator from Greensboro, North Carolina, Larry Darling.
Yep. Regional solutions only.
What if I wanted like in my state?
No.
Well, not. Is he not in a region? He's a region, yeah.
He's not in my region. I don't care about his region.
Oh.
So it's my regional solutions. And finally joined by our vice president for senior response from Bowling Green, Kentucky, Justin Rexing. Who is not
he's having
mastered
a
his
senior
mute
moment.
button.
Yeah. And
you're still muted, yeah.
I found it.
There you go.
I found it. Got it. We're good.
All right.
We responded. We told the engineers.
Bit of a senior moment.
We somehow have less people watching our stream now after all of that.
Yes, they all disconnected. All right.
That was a shit show.
So on today's show, we're going to discuss.
Wait till you find out what's going to happen.
We're going to discuss projects and products that almost hit the mark, but not quite. We're going to discuss the delta between seminar rooms and classrooms. But first, no, it's not the news. It's more housekeeping. So. If you're listening to this as a recorded MP3 down the road, we do stream this show live on Friday afternoons at about, I don't know, let's say 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific.
Now time.
Somewhere in that. We keep pushing to try to start on time, and we never do. But, it's basically at about 3:30 Eastern or whenever Mark shows up.
We're always right around about-ish now.
We always start
whatever
when we
that
start.
Is. Whatever time it is right now, give or take 30 minutes from here, that's probably where we're going to be.
So if you're listening to this weeks later and it's not October 18th at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, then you're not watching us live, and you can see all our nonsense and all that stuff. So you can join us on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and when I remember to turn it on, we will even take your calls live, which I forgot to do again today. But
we don't have a phone?
I got to set it up. We'll see if I can do it on the fly without testing.
What are we going to do?
If you can't join us live, we'd like for you to connect with us on the socials. Follow us on Twitter at AV SuperFriends, LinkedIn, search for AV SuperFriends, YouTube, search for AV SuperFriends. Keep up with our latest news and updates and all that fun stuff. Mm-hmm. In fact, just today, we released our biggest production ever.
Yeah, there was over the top.
2024 Halloween special. It was like 120 minutes of nonsense or something like that. I don't know.
You're never getting that time back.
I just listened to it. It was probably worth it.
All right. I'm glad for that ringing endorsement there.
Yes. Yeah. Whatever you invested and paid for that, Justin, I can guarantee you got your value worth out of it. Yes. Yep. Go check it out. It's definitely a good time.
So yeah, you can find that on our website at avsuperfriends.com, and you can find that there. We're also posting about it on Twitter and all that fun stuff today. So please spread the word, share the podcast with friends, colleagues, enemies, perfect strangers, anyone who might enjoy it, or if you can just hold people down and tickle them, and while they're enjoying the tickling, you can grab their phone and subscribe, of course.
Play it in an elevator. Just play that show when you're riding a very long elevator and just let that run.
And hopefully it gets stuck.
Yeah, hopefully if you get stuck in an elevator, take your earbuds out and let everybody hear it.
And all those Midwest buildings with 2 floors.
Yeah.
If you want to support the show, please consider donations. Your contributions help us to bring you the content you love or love to hate. It's up to you. You can find the donation link in the show notes or on our website. If you're listening to this on your commute, grab your phone. I don't care about the laws in your state, and you want to scroll down the button and you want to start entering your PayPal information in there.
Yeah, those of you at the gym listening to this while you're on your elliptical or whatever, just go ahead and subscribe to that while you're here.
We do want to hear from you, so if there's a topic you'd like to cover, you want to yell at us and tell us why we're wrong about something or why we were right, which we always are, send us an email or comment via social media. You can email us directly at mailbag at avsuperfriends.com, or hit us up on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that fun stuff. And finally, when you're listening to us on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, all that fun things, please go on and rate and review us, because that bumps us up in the ratings, and then more people will see us and all that stuff. So
it spreads.
All right. So now that that's all said and done, I got to do something different today. Jamie's asked me to do something different for the news. Hold on. I got to do two things simultaneously, like this. It's amazing.
Hey, those donations are really bringing us along.
Jamie's been working hard on this. So
penny counts.
You can
every
see,
penny.
You can see.
All right. So today's news article is from EdSurge. I'm just going to step on you guys and keep right on going.
That's fine.
It's from EdSurge, and it is about arguably our favorite topic of 2022. And if anyone can remember what that is.
Yes, there may have been coins minted.
Well, right, but that's why we did it.
Right.
It's about goggles.
That's right.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
Do you have the article available here to share?
It's in the show notes.
I wanted to see you break more stuff. Okay, anyway.
Wait, you want me to share it live on screen?
Well, of course. How else can you share it?
Don't we have the technology to do that kind of stuff?
We have all sorts of technology.
Just not that one. We just don't have that.
If you give me a second. I don't know. You just asked me to do something that would never came up ever before.
I know. That was the whole point. It was
okay,
fun.
Look, there it is. See, I can do it.
Because it's all about that imagery.
It is. So the article is, if smart glasses are coming, what will that mean for classrooms? Spoiler alert, nothing. However, Mark wanted to push back on this for specialized programs, and Larry had a rare in the wild sighting of smart glasses this week. So I'll just turn it over to that, because none of this stuff is ever going to happen in a wide scale, anything more than the weirdo nerds at the eye doctors who are probably there because they messed up their eyes wearing the smart glasses, and Mark's super specialized content that's going to be built by millionaires. So aside from that, it'll never happen, but I'll turn it over to the panel.
No. See, my whole point on this is that while I genuinely agree, we're not going to see classrooms full of people wearing glasses. I don't think that's going to happen in the immediate. I believe before we get to that step, we're going to have to generate some content. And I do believe in a world where we have tons of BYOD and people are consuming content on the screen directly in front of them, whether it be a phone and or a laptop of sorts, it'll be that before it ends up being glasses. And I think there is a world where teaching environments do have supplemental content. Let's call it AR. I do believe we should extract the term VR and glasses and stuff out of our lexicon and insert AR into that equation to have augmented reality by way of other screens. If and when we figure that out, then we may usher in a world where these glasses can become a reality. But I think there's a huge chasm between those two times right now.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. Like, we're not talking VR here. We're talking AR. And what I saw in the eye doctor was not even truly AR as we know it, with the augmented reality, seeing things. Mm-hmm. But I was there. I had to get glasses. While I was there, I saw two different people oohing and awing over a new pair of Ray-Bans that had the meta built into it. And I think one of them even purchased it. And that's how it's going to make its way into the classroom.
It needs to get into the value bin first. Once it hits the value bin, and they're giving them away like every Chuck E. Cheese, whatever, then yes, we will see them.
These frames were like $100 more than a standard pair of frames. They're not that much more. They come with AI built in where you can ask your glasses things and it responds with the speakers.
But yes,
has a camera. Like it's going to be in our classes, and since it's going to be in our classes, we need to at least acknowledge their existence.
And that's where I was like, this is coming. The style of the glasses that they have right now is coming quicker than you think, because I was looking at them not too long ago as well.
Were you the one person who bought them?
Yeah, Larry was following them around.
Amazon has a pair, Bose even has a pair, but they're more for the auditory, because some of them It's all got the built-in speakers with Bluetooth, and we just so happen to have an episode that talk all about that and why it could be impactful. And if you just had a pair of glasses on that had the Bluetooth receiver in it, that changes. It's not earbuds anymore. That changes how it goes. They also already had the microphones. The
Is it
thing
just
that turned me off was,
yeah.
I didn't want to talk to it. I didn't want to say, computer, show me whatever, right? Because all of these were built to be like, the Alexa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is Alexa strapped onto the arm of your glasses. Yeah.
And it records everything just like Alexa and stuff. And I don't need that all the time, right?
No, you need that all the time.
But it was pretty cool. And it would be kind of neat to just kind of mumble to yourself and say, hey, pull up the equation for, speaker dispersion. And it's on your phone or your tablet or whatever. It's right there in front of you. That's kind of cool. And I just don't want it all the time.
I think this is a long journey. This is not an overnight thing at all. To me, this represents the same problem I have with buying a new computer. I hate nothing more than having a brand new computer with no applications and nothing to do with it. Agreed. Nothing's installed on there. You're just like, cool, I got this new thing. What can I do? And it's like, well, nothing. I got to spend the next month putting everything on there and getting all my credentials set up and do all this stuff. Like, I hate that, where you have all this potential, but then nowhere to go. And you're just kind of hanging out and you're like, well, shit, it'd be nice if I can actually do something with this. And so this feels like that. Oh, I know.
You got to work.
And that's what I'm saying. We got to put in the cycles here. We got to get down and dig into those coal mines and start creating some content here.
I mean, I see this as a good thing. If everybody's in class wearing these, we don't have to really deal with lecture capture anymore.
We have to deal with privacy concerns, though.
Well, that's not our problem. That's their problem.
Yes, that's how privacy works, Justin.
That's how privacy works. That's
yes.
not my problem.
Anyway, so I think what you both have just kind of articulated is not so much what we keep hearing. It's the glass and the extra stuff, and you're going to be in Spain with Chris hanging out for class. Like, that's not what this is.
Always
this
in
is like an apparatus.
That's what the article is.
Yes,
that's not what we're talking about.
You're talking about an apparatus in which you bolt on additional AI services, and I think that's
same,
not. Yeah,
it'll be the same thing as the iPhone. The iPhone did not have the content when it came out, but it snuck its way into higher ed, and eventually we started to work with smartphones.
Another BYO, whatever the shitballs this is. Yeah.
Wait, we're supposed to do something with iPhones?
See, we're not really doing anything with iPhones.
You don't have to.
Justin,
that's so ubiquitous,
Chris, right?
Well, you guys waited it out, and so it went from like this huge interest, and we have to do this and wireless sharing and all this crap, and it's
nowhere.
That's nosedived, and now you don't have to worry about it anymore. So it's
even
great.
if you have wireless sharing, everybody wants it for their laptops or iPads, not an iPhone. Nobody really shares content from an iPhone anymore.
I want something that allows me to have 7 students put their crappy, tiny little iPhone displays up, and they can all annotate over top of them, because no one ever wanted that ever at any time in history, and yet everyone makes that box. Stop making that.
And that's kind of my point about the glasses.
But it has Wi-Fi on it, Chris.
Yeah. It's its own access point. Just plug it in. It's fine. Oh.
Students can hit record in class and take it home and watch it again and study. That's
Wait, are you
personal lecture capture?
Do you mean lecture capture? Is that what you just described here?
Exactly. That's my point.
Just when I was in college, we had these things called tape recorders.
Like the only benefit I can think of right now.
You want that
like just like I was in the classroom in the 78th row
I can go to
at
sleep.
student number 900.
Yes, you want the Amazon stream where you can choose your camera angle in your class, and you can get like the different. We talked about this. That's just coming.
Just like those new movie theaters that are showing the sports events. We put a camera in your seat in that stadium that you bought.
But you just go to the seat and you sit there and hit record and fall asleep. And then take it home that night and watch it on demand.
So are we doing this all wrong? I think we have this all wrong. So you're telling me that the seats actually have to have cameras on them, but why don't we just put displays on the back of them like an airplane and just get out of this whole thing altogether? I mean, we're done. Like,
no classrooms.
Or we can just go with no classrooms. I mean, we're done. We've made it to the bottom.
No.
I'm sure we'll get there right away.
I actually feel like every time we talk about a new technology introducing the classroom, we always get to the point of now there's not going to be a classroom.
Right. We take the buttons away first, shave them down, put glasses on, get rid of the classroom. Why are you even here? Just give me the money. Like, what are we doing?
All right. Well, enough of that nonsense, because I'm bored with it, and I'm just going to start pushing buttons.
Give me a link to those glasses, Larry. I'm going to buy them for Chris.
Just for me. I'll not wear them. All right. So we're going to take a quick break here, come back, talk about products and projects that were like almost good or almost hit the mark, but didn't quite make it, or they were missing some critical component. But first, and I'm going to rearrange things here on the fly because Justin just mentioned going to events, and Jamie said sporting events. Here's the event you guys all need to be going to. It's our next commercial.
Get ready to plug in and rock out at Widget Fest, the ultimate celebration of audiovisual innovation. For 3 electrifying days, the biggest names in commercial presentation electronics take the stage and showcase the latest and greatest in adapters and widgets. Widget Fest! Experience cutting-edge tech, hands-on demos, and exclusive product launches all in one place. Connect with fellow enthusiasts, enjoy great food, and be part of the future of AV technology. Widget Fest! Tickets are selling fast, so don't miss out. Widget Fest, the ultimate celebration of adapters and widgets, coming soon to a venue near you. Widget Fest! Widget Fest! Brought to you by Independent Amalgamated.
Larry, what kind of kit are you playing in that? Yeah, what is that? That DW kit?
I feel angry now, and I don't know why.
That's not even the good commercial. The good version of that.
I didn't know we were going to play that song over that video loop. That was special.
You're creeped out by the robot?
We had to pay that person good money to come in and film that. I mean, come on, that was.
I'm not sure. Justin hates our commercials. I've noticed this. You know, you could do your own. It's just me and Jamie doing this stuff, man.
You guys put together for these things. It's ridiculous. Let's move on.
We don't do it. It's the team of interns we have in the AI stuff. Let's go.
We're talking about AI stuff now? What?
No,
I don't think we're talking
about baseball here, guys. Come on.
We're talking about baseball because it's baseball season. Something Mr. October said you got to do this.
It is.
Still, we're in month 248.
Months long, yes. We're in the final throes
Mark,
of the last
I think this was your suggestion. You said, "Hey, it's we're still in the height of MLB playoffs. Let's talk about baseball. People like the sports ball, but let's talk about products." And I believe you described it as products that are a swing and a miss. That
products,
something was
projects or anything that was like.
Oh, fair, yes. Products, projects, or even misinterpretations by our favorite integrators and consultants who come up with some stuff that just doesn't fit the bill.
Yes.
So. Who wants to start? I've got a huge list of stuff here.
Go pick somebody, Chris. Go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would say as the person who traveled the farthest to be here today, we're going to go with Justin.
Oh. Cool.
No, I take it back. We'll go with Larry.
North Carolina, Kentucky. Oh, so, okay. Back when I was first programming, I had an entire school or building that I was doing filled with QM products. So, you know, the
QM.
old quick media receivers with the processors built in and the little
good old days.
Did you install those
transmitters? No, I was programming, so I just walked in after the fact.
Well, what I mean is, did you guys specify as part of that and install them?
Consultant job. So, yeah.
Well, no, because what I was going to get at is I'm not aware of anybody who ever actually installed Quick Media. Everyone just kind of, it just shows up.
I
did
those. Installed a shitload of that, yeah.
I'm old.
I just keep finding it places. Like someone sneaks around at night and installs it. So
they'll never see it coming.
Like the QM elf?
Yes, the QM elf.
The QMILF.
No, stop it.
Consultant, he had a decent design, except for he was over-promising what was happening.
No, that's never happened.
This must be the same guy I talked to this morning.
The important phrase, turnkey solution.
They all are.
I
They're always
didn't know
turnkey.
that at the time. I just thought, hey, designs don't work. We go back to the person that made the design and figure it out. He had
that's
promised the client
I'll sell you another one.
that they could use the in-room PC monitor with an X panel to control the system. And he also promised the client
You can do
that the in-room monitor could be the preview monitor for every other source. So when you selected a .cam, it would show up on that monitor.
You can do
And
that
there was
too.
no other control in the room. So I programmed
Once you go
that.
dot camera one time,
Yeah, cool. I programmed that X panel.
Dig yourself right into a hole.
They select .cam. It's still on .cam to this day.
just running.
They just closed the room
It's just been on
and
Doc
left.
Kent since, yeah.
Yeah, like it was one of those things, and I was like, this is the way you designed it. This was the way you promised it. And then I found out about the turnkey system, where I wasn't the engineer for this one, but we had to eat the button panels that we added to the rooms to get off of the dot
Just
cam,
see you
which
guys
you
eating
selected.
these button panels. Button panels. Delicious. Part of a balanced breakfast.
So that was a swing and a miss then, right, Larry?
Yeah, the design was so close.
Here's the pitch, a curveball, swung out and missed.
Oh, yeah, so good.
Everyone loves Bob Uecker.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's discussion about the multimodal display at the lectern, the single display at the lectern,
that happens a
doing
lot.
lots of different things. That came up on my campus like 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And when you try to explain to people why that's a bad idea, yes, I can route away from that. I can show my doc cam, my laptop, whatever there. But the thing you can't see is the thing you were just using a minute ago. So what is your plan at this point?
Yes.
It never gets beyond
if
that.
you only have that, and it is the only thing you can do, you are not switching away to anything ever, then I'm willing to let you step up to the hangman's gallows and try it.
Have you ever drove off a cliff, landed, and then drove back up
Try
the
it
cliff?
again.
No, we haven't done that.
Yeah.
So stop it.
I'm still trying to find this analogy.
PC, I kind of like that idea.
No,
it simplifies it. But
we all
otherwise,
speculate around that. Like, well, couldn't you? I mean, we talked about it here. Like, it may. Well, but everybody's really reluctant to try that because on paper, sure, run the XML, run whatever your control, whatever you want to call it, put it on there, and you should be able to. But now the room becomes an application of your computer, right?
Yeah.
And so, is that the world we want to live in? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe
Jamie,
if we had glasses, maybe that'd be where we want to be. But I don't know if that's what we want.
Jamie, I know you've done that with the little application for the button panels, where you used to deploy a bunch of those with the little application running, and they could control the Extron button panels through the little app. But then invariably someone would close the app, and now they're kind of stuck. So.
Yeah, I had one or two people, and mostly because the button panel was across the room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so the bigger problem is that you have to log in.
Mm-hmm. Can't do anything in the room until you log into the computer.
Yeah, it's a login service, but it wouldn't always, if it pulled a roaming profile for some reason and that shortcut wasn't on the desktop, then you just didn't get it.
Now, I will say, if you're going to do this, this is a prime candidate to control your lights that way and get rid of all of the wall switches.
And the shades.
Yes. Do everything and go all in. Yes.
And the door
100%.
You have to unlock the doors from inside the room. How do I get in there?
Yeah.
By the way, does anyone still get those calls about the lighting and shade presets not being correct? And no matter how many times you explain to them, you're just recalling a preset, but they still are adamant that they want you to come over and fix it?
It's broken.
Hate it.
It's always broken. Okay. Who's up next?
Justin, go.
Justin, next farthest.
Yeah, Justin's the closest. He's the one who traveled the least distance to be here today.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
3, 2, 1. No,
I've been flip-flopping on this, and I've complained about this before, but I really think the root cause is it's not the consultant's fault. Maybe, probably is, but it's the construction process fault. The old archaic construction process that we use today, it's bullshit. Because when you think about it, when a cabling contractor does a network for a building, does the cabling contractor or the electrician provide network switches and configure them?
No. I'm just going to say
no. No. 98% of it's no, right? So then you look at our world.
See, Joe knows.
Our world was, long time ago, it developed under the EC for the bidding process because it just fit, because all we ran is a bunch of analog speakers and it was a bunch of stupid stuff. But now we are more aligned with networks and how the intricacy of all that is working in a building. But yet the AV side is still expected to be done when the EC is done. And that's almost impossible based upon how the construction process works, because the AV people can't really even start installing a lot of their stuff until the building's clean, and that's when the EC is almost done.
Yeah, last in.
And then the payment stuff happens. So when you look at it, and you look at what the consultant's tasked to do, they put out all this stuff, and they have to manage the bid process. They're rushed. the EC's rushed and the AV integrators rushed. And what happens when you rush things?
You get the best possible
Everything
outcome.
is perfect.
Yes. Every
So
time.
I know.
So I'm
it's all
thinking
in
about this. The consultants out there are like, man, I know you all are trying, but a lot of you
Are they,
maybe
though?
haven't been in the field for a while and actually
Or
put
ever.
your hands on some of these things, and you guys have a lot of work, and I know you copy and paste a lot, but son of a bitch.
So how did this
It's
come
getting-
home to you? How did it get you?
old.
Yeah.
It's getting so old.
So
I just
where'd it
I
go
don't know how
sideways
to
on
fix
you?
it, but
Just in general?
Justin, you know how to fix it. Do it in house.
Do it now, remember?
Yeah.
do it in house. But
Yeah, I mean, yes, they're all busy. We're all busy.
It's the challenge with commercial construction in particular, especially for larger, big building remodels, new building projects, whatever. They're written based on contract, or they're done based on written contracts. So you have to let those contracts go. I had one this summer where it was the contract, and anytime you had to ask a question, it would like to go back up through the design team and around and around and around. And finally, I just left. I'm like, look, I will fix this after
sometimes
the
it's
project's
just
done.
easier. Right? You're like,
just
I'm not
let it
gonna
go.
Expend this energy.
We will get this giant shit burger, and then when we're done, we'll go clean it up. And my boss knew, the VP of facilities knew, like everyone. It's like, yeah, all the way through, they knew this is what's going to happen. And the only reason the primary reason I was able to do that this year was because every single one of these spaces they were working on were not classroom teaching spaces. They
So
were
when that
office spaces,
happens,
conference
Chris,
rooms, etc. So it didn't matter.
when that happens, that's fine. Like I would be fine filling in or finishing off a consultant's job and then making sure it all plays out well. But what happens? They always get paid in full.
Yeah. Sure.
That's the bullshit part.
You're just paying them to go away.
Universities need to partially pay them for the work that they did,
Or stop
you did
paying them.
25% of the work. Guess what?
Yeah,
Here's
the
25%
contract
of the check.
says.
Yep.
Anyway,
That's
You're not wrong, Justin. You are.
That's
you
the
have hit the
biggest
nail right on
problem.
the head, and it is ringing and resonating with all of us.
we all have those that have happened, and
I think the consultants may agree. Like a lot of them, like, yeah, we are overworked. We have a lot of crap to do, and if there's people out there that know what we know and that are willing to finish off on the owner's side. Like we should be able to work together to do that and then pay them appropriately for, like, here's a great example. I'm designing a football stadium audio right now. And that's not something that internal people usually do at universities, but there was a consultant. The consultant did the infrastructure drawings.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were paid in full for the whole thing or paid for infrastructure drawings, but I picked up the rest of it after they left. So that worked out, but
still working out, isn't it?
payment's still
Okay.
whole thing, whatever.
Right on. So
Who's next?
Who's next?
Wait, so that's a swing and a miss. I got another one. Hold on.
We gotta do the whole thing. Yeah. That was like 3 strikes. It's like
That's pretty close.
You get one.
Use it however you want.
Okay, Jamie.
It's Jamie's turn, I guess.
Oh, hardware.
Don't talk about
based-
consultants.
No.
Hardware-based annotation devices.
Wait. I might like some of these.
Nope.
No, you
Wrong.
don't.
no, you don't.
No,
All
you
wrong.
probably do not.
I just saw an ad for this on our news feed yesterday. I was like, look at this
Oh
thing.
man,
This thing looks almost
hardware-based
interesting.
annotation devices.
Are you talking about iPads?
No.
No, I'm talking
you
about
talking
maybe multi-window processors. Maybe from a certain Tron, starts with a DVH something
or other. Dash.
Anyway,
whatever.
that even they, after a period of time, said, "Oh my God, don't ever buy another one of these," and then quietly discontinued and put it on a shelf somewhere.
But you could turn any touch-enabled display into a touch panel, Jamie. Isn't that your dream?
As long as it's one of these two.
Yes.
Way back when universal drivers for like touch monitors weren't existed and tools like Zoom and Mic, they didn't have their own little built-in annotation tools. We had to buy these hardware-based units that really were meant to be a one-to-one. Somebody learned how to do this, but you put it in a general use space where nobody knows how to use any of that crap, and you say, good luck. And sometimes it went, and sometimes it didn't, and then they'd say, well, I want to save that note.
No, you don't.
Well, you can.
Get your phone out. Take a picture of
It
that.
basically is a
Ray-Ban
screenshot
glasses.
that saves
Those
to
Ray-Ban
the
glasses.
Yeah.
They'll do
that,
that.
that saves to the internal memory that you have to somehow
On the
get off
Android
and
device.
repurpose.
There's an SD card on the back behind a screwed down panel, Jamie. Come on, just get to it.
And so, I might have put a couple of these in. I thought this is going to be great. And then it goes back to it's going to be the all-in-wonder screen that Larry was talking about earlier, where you put the touch panel controls on here and the annotation, and you'll be able to, it'll be sweet. And I took my lumps for about a month and a half, re-engineered the whole thing in the middle of the course because it did not last that long.
We've done this
and
thing.
When I called the company and I said, why isn't this thing work correctly? And they said, if you would have called us before you bought 4 of them, we would have told you not to buy 4
we
of
needed
them.
that money. Sorry.
I'm like, this is a $20,000 unit. Yeah. Thank you. I bought a Mercedes.
We still have
boat
some
was
running
wet
right now. We are using them.
But yeah, so general they probably have their use in command centers and weather people somewhere, courtrooms. But to be in a general purpose room with oh my God, no.
Or, to Larry, to your point about courtrooms, and there are specific spaces where this makes sense, or just use any USB HID monitor you'd like and just let the freaking computer drive it.
Yeah,
Today you can. Yeah, you can. Now,
you could do that
10 years ago.
10 years ago, it just was like, it was tough. But
So we did it, but it was a production environment, so we had preview, program, cue buttons. It was the nines, man, and it worked. It worked.
The thing was terrible.
But you had to have people
professionals using it.
But you had to have people to make sure that it worked.
Yes.
And they probably hated it. So.
Hired like 14 people just to work around the clock to make sure thing was always on and connected. So, what's your job?
Yeah,
plug in, unplug this. Just trust me. Can you do it with an IP? No, I'm paying you good money. It's an opportunity.
All right, so let me get you your swing and a miss in there. All right, but I do want to say to that point though, I get that request quite often where people want some sort of touch-enabled display or annotation thing or whatever. And when you start talking to what they really want, and to your point, you brought it up several times there, software on the computers has gotten to the point now where Windows has a built-in software, Mac has that whatever, the notebook, whatever. I don't know. They all have their own thing. Zoom has it built in. Teams has it. Just like, here, use the computer of any operating system of your choice, any number of applications you want. Use this touch-enabled thing that costs $40 more than the non-touch-enabled one, and go nuts.
I like bringing up Paint and using it as a whiteboard.
Blows
my
minds.
finger.
Microsoft Paint. Cool.
And you're just still there 2 hours later, just working on your masterpiece.
Don't restart that machine.
Look, I drew a cat. Right.
I run into this a lot where people will, to our first couple of topics, where let's just say outside experts with briefcases who have not left their office in years, specify touch-enabled monitors everywhere, and they specify those big ones, 65, 75, 85, 90, whatever size monstrous displays. And they specify the ones, because they get the kickbacks, that have the internal operating system, that has like the lightweight menu thing, which is designed, you want to switch inputs? Bring up the input menu to switch. Like,
hopefully it's Android.
Or worse, or it's freaking Tizen. Either way. But where you have to like now bounce between like the rest of your room system and this nonsense thing over on this wall, and you can get yourself into a corner. Or someone can go in there and do like the world's greatest thesis defense, but on the internal memory. And then you're getting that panic phone call of, I don't want to exit this because I'm pretty sure it's not going to save. I'm like, yeah, you're pretty much up a creek.
Meeting's
and
over.
good
It's
luck.
going to restart. Quick.
And it's just like, these things are nonsensical at best and have no place in anybody's life or, universe or any of that stuff. Now, that said, there are other ones out there that are just giant, dumb HID touch-enabled displays. Run what you brung, do whatever you want, fine. Go nuts with those. But stay away from the ones that have like built-in, like their own operating system and applications.
Crap. Yeah, don't do that.
Such a problem. So.
All right, cool.
Mark, your turn.
Yes, okay. I'm going to try to combine two the best I can and weave this story together for you. Recent project, non-typical space whatsoever. It's a rehearsal space.
2 feet wide and 80 feet tall.
It's compact, huge. No, it's a rehearsal space.
2 by 2 and 90 feet.
For kind of theater, right? And so we knew it was never going to be a regular classroom. And so the integrator who's kind of assisting with this was one of those pandemic miracles that we all love. And like, we're going to do all this stuff. So can you give us your seed file? Have you guys ever had that conversation? Can you give us your programming seed file so we know how your naming convention works and yada, yada. Okay, yeah, here you go. This is a standard classroom. We're going to give you looks and operates like this, knowing full well this is never going to be a standard classroom. Okay, fast forward. Here we are. We get that in there, and all the stuff stays the same, right? It says like computer, document camera, air media, all this stuff. And we're like, there's not even a lectern in here, dude. Like what? So all these buttons are here. Then it has overflow mode, and you're like, okay, which is supposed to take a feed from another building, the actual performance venue, and it switches to an AV over IP input, right? Seems pretty harmless. That makes sense to me. But they didn't even bother to ask what the system was in the venue. And so they just went and grabbed any old IP decoder and threw it in there. Now, I will say, one of them is an Evertz Nucleus system. And this one over here is a Visionary now. And they just, well, it says decoder. I'm just going to buy this one, put it in there, and you guys make it work. So we had...
Did it work?
Wait,
of course not.
You mean it doesn't work that way?
No, of course not.
And it's standards based.
It's all standards based, right? And so we had only like physical inputs around the room in a rehearsal space that correlated with computer, document camera, and these other inputs. It's like none of those physical devices exist in this space. And then they're like, we're asking them like, what? Didn't you ever stop and like think about why this would be that way? Like, well, that's the file you gave us. It's like, no, you asked us for the seed file for a normal classroom. That's what we gave you. Instead of taking a couple moments to actually think about how your UI was going to work in the space, you just copied and pasted. And there you go. We're done. Take the money and run. But then add the whole other interoperable system part to it, and it was just a debacle. We're actually untangling this right now, still getting it all back in place. But it was just comical because not only was it a sub, but it was a subbed out sub. So the first person got a contract, then they gave it to somebody else. So it was like 2 layers of inception and interpretation of what it should be. And it's, to your point, Chris, we just got to a point where like, can we just, what's it going to take for you to be done with this project? So we can just come in and fix it, because I don't feel like going through all of these changes and group emails and interpretation via all this. Like, I know it needs to happen. Can I just go down there and fix this right now?
It's cost me more money in change orders than just to do it myself.
Just be done with it. I just need to move forward. But it was comical because they're like, well, where's all your stuff? It's like, what do you mean? There's not going to be a classroom. It's a rehearsal building. Come on. Like, it's not a classroom. So, but recent volley of sorts. So they stepped up, took a big old swing, and just missed it 100%.
Sounds like they didn't even like show up to the plate. These guys
they just phoned it all in. Like, oh well, we pushed the program. It should be fine.
They stayed in the dugout and they just threw the bat towards the home plate. Hit the bat!
Yeah, it should be fine. It's got your programming on it.
Swing and a miss here.
Here's the pitch. Swings and misses.
So, yeah, fun with them.
So I will share my not current, but the one that comes to mind right now, because it comes up every now and then as far as hardware solutions that are solutions looking for a problem. They're trying to solve something that doesn't exist. This is not something that anybody ever asked for, and if they did, they should have been shouted down and berated. And these are 2 of my favorite types of devices combined into one.
Chris being a therapist. Just shut the hell up and get beat down.
So both of these types of devices are the things that we think about the least and we want to deal with the least, and yet somebody said, well, let's put your peanut butter in my chocolate and we'll make these the same. So these are wireless sharing appliances that also do digital signage. Ugh. This is just awful all the way around.
Like 10 other things too.
That I don't want any of that either. So
let's just take the 2. That's worse enough.
Yeah.
So, and generally, they, performance-wise, whatever, but wireless sharing appliances, the only way the manufacturers and everybody makes them, there's like 250 different versions of these things out there, and they have to differentiate somehow, so they keep adding more stuff on them that no one really wants or uses. It makes it more difficult to use. It raises the price. It makes it more difficult to support.
This one's got a browser built into it, Chris.
We don't want this. We don't need this. You can annotate by getting the app on your phone and then pushing a button. Like, no. Or there's even some that have been like, this will be the center. This will be your control system too, and all the stuff will talk to it, and then you can
You can schedule. Yeah. What if it had a calendar, Chris? Is that the piece that you need the most?
What if we told you there's a platform that you could have on the back end that would monitor everything for you?
Yeah, I'll get right on that. Let me just plug this into my network.
Oh, no. It doesn't actually. This is all Wi-Fi, Chris. Sorry, I thought you knew that.
Oh, yeah, these don't have hardwired ports. What are you talking about?
No. Oh, you wanted security?
And I understand there are times and places for these things. There's probably people yelling at their car stereos right now about, I've got 500 of them and they're great. That's fine. But of those 500, I'm willing to bet every one of them has 10 or 12 features that you don't use, and you really just use that one feature. And if you make the argument about, well, in a classroom scenario, I get it. But people just want to take the thing on their iPhone, their Android, and they just want to make it show up there as fast as possible. And if step one is go get the app, oh, it's a different app for this room, you've already lost.
And guess what? It's probably going to cost you money per month, too.
Well, those are even worse.
Yeah.
Probably.
If you want more features, it's going to cost you more money
for security.
Yes.
Yeah, Justin, you want those features you don't want to use? Well, now they cost you. So anyway, but now I've seen a lot of them doing their own digital signage thing. And the challenge with digital signage, having gone through this in the last year, digital signage requires a huge amount of back-end stuff to kind of keep that stuff maintained, managed, connected, all that stuff.
Does it?
If you're doing it correctly. Now, I know you're going to say, well, people just plug it on the thing and they put it on their flash drive, they plug it in, they run on the bright side.
I'm not talking sticker signage. None of that.
But a lot of these digital signage players, they have very limited remote access, or the point where the remote access is like log in as admin and up to like, no. So it's just terrible.
Or,
whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. You guys are making it harder than it needs to be.
Well, and
my digital signage doesn't run that way. And I have fixed wireless sharing by not buying a single one of them ever. So that has solved that problem.
Well, and if you're going to do digital signage, you want the same digital signage platform across your entire campus.
Correct.
So,
why would you want that, Larry?
Yeah.
Where's
So
the fun in
unless
that?
you're going to put wireless sharing all over the place,
unless your job is digital signage, content distribution, whatever, manager, and your job is to walk out there and plug it, and you're paid by the step. Yes.
That title, I think, belongs on one of our shows. It sounded like
greater,
kind of
lesser,
made up.
Regional.
Justin, do you want to be the vice president of manual digital signage content update deployment person?
Update deployment
coordinator. Yes.
Senior coordinator for digital signage content management and updating stuff.
Level 3.
But only for the medical campus.
Competency
I
level
don't deal with the other
4.
campus.
Yeah, please.
Just the College of Business. That's it.
I just want one building.
Oh.
Okay.
It's my dream.
I just want the alumni house where they have 6 events a year.
Okay.
So, but I've seen this more and more that the all these different players, like I said, there's like 260,000 different ways to do wireless sharing in any space you want. That's fine.
Is there really though? Just like one,
including Teams,
including built-in computers, which is the best way to do it. But now they're all like, and we can now sell you digital signage. Like, we don't want any of that. You're just making it complex.
What I heard is you wanted to develop a Teams app that works with our appliance, so you can share from Teams.
Yes,
also.
so I can walk up with my phone. And I can then
in
like
Teams launch the thing that has
my
annotation.
content through Teams, my Teams app onto the Teams thing there, and then I can. Oh, it'll be great.
You should try.
But don't worry about it because the plug-in from PowerPoint to the Team signage.
Oh, it's already
doesn't
broken.
Work. Yeah.
Here's what you should do: spin up VLC and just broadcast your monitor out in multicast.
Yes, this sounds secure, Justin.
Yeah, no.
Content sharing.
Are you now going to tell me that you have several dozen digital signage displays at Western Kentucky running by shared some dude's like computer in his office?
He's just choosing NDI.
No,
desktop.
I'm not telling you that.
No,
because I'm waiting for you to say that. You're going to come on next week and talk about this computer that's been running fine for 27 years had a problem and started loading porn sites, and it was all over campus. And
I just know playing with VLC multicast can be a little fun on a network.
All multicast, just when you least expect it on a network is usually the fun. They tell me.
So anyway,
just put whatever you want on there.
So yeah, wireless sharing appliances with digital signage and other stuff on there. Just no, I'm gonna give that a swing and a miss.
Okay.
Here's the pitch, a curveball, swung on and missed.
All right. Well, that's fun.
Who else has one? I've got way more.
There's tons. I mean, there's gobs of them. I think I would categorize all of the stuff we keep seeing. Here's some really elegant hardware that requires this software that runs at the user level. You have to download it before it
runs
works.
at admin level.
Yeah, admin level only. And you're like, wow, that would be excellent.
One of mine lately has been, it's so easy to deploy. Just download the app on your phone.
From the Microsoft Store. It's like,
here's an easy way to check yourself in design, and I've been doing this myself. If you're designing classroom technology,
who's doing that?
If you spec a piece of equipment that's 2RU, you better go back and look. Just think about it.
My computers are all 2RUs.
My computers are one, but okay. Well, we'll get to your point, Justin. What am I not guessing here?
What are the all-in-one boxes?
What? What? Who?
2 RU, 3 RU, 4 RU.
Oh, you're talking about like the old switcher days?
Right. Okay. So if you're designing classrooms and the devices are more than 1 RU tall, you better go back and look at what you're doing.
Okay, just in general, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Nothing you need is more than 1 RU.
You see what I'm saying?
I gotcha.
Right? Because you're consultants. If you're designing classrooms and you're picking out devices more than 1 RU, I'm not talking about computers.
But the list I got off of your website that was updated in 2017, Justin, says that you use all DMPSs. So that's what we spec'd into this project. Yeah. That's your standard.
I've had that said to me, not ironically, within the last year.
Oh, I know. Everybody does. We downloaded it from a site, and it said this is your standard. This is what we built on. Are we wrong?
Well, did you go to Google Cache? You know, like where did you find that?
So yes,
I don't know.
More matrix switchers, more wireless screen sharing.
But yeah, so Mark, to your point about hardware that requires software is kind of a loser at this point. Please knock that off. Especially if said hardware now requires said software to implement certain advertised features that may or may not have used to work just fine without the software.
Talking about cameras?
And talking about some types of cameras.
You see it a lot in cameras.
Let's be fair here. Yeah, this is like not like setup software. Like
no, I'm not saying
the design
software to admin
the configuration
this stuff. I'm saying
software,
the core
like
functionality
drivers.
you need. Yeah, the stuff to actually make it work.
If you want to use this very cool camera that covers huddle spaces nicely. Now all of a sudden it needs a specific driver that's only gotten from a specific spot that's not generic use purpose. Because for folks out there going, all of our crap takes software. No, not the setup stuff, not the nerdery, the everyday user.
Yeah, if there's a feature that you're like, we can do this now, but it's just a software update you have to run on everybody's personal device, like that's not the solution.
Well, like for example, about software, our PC deployment team, when they updated the newest version of this semester's image, which by the way apparently is written in stone that Moses handed down at a certain point, like you have to do this and it can't be changed afterwards or ever again.
You get one shot.
It's like, oh, that's missing, we'll do it next semester. I'm like, or fix it now. Anyway, but one of the apps they removed, we were talking about annotation things, one of the apps they removed or forgot to deploy was the Windows Whiteboard app. And I'm like, people use the crap out of that.
We actually had that taken off too because it was part of the Microsoft Store. And the Microsoft Store was not generally available to the wide public. And we fixed it once we figured out, that eliminated that. But
get your distro right. Get your distro right.
But it's that sort of that level, like, well, it's just not there. I'm like, well, put it back, because I've got 600 rooms out there that had it last week, and now it ain't there, and I'm getting calls. And so the software stuff is a challenge, but you have to kind of be out in front of it and be actively involved in what's going on.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. All right, so one last question here then to the panel. Is there anything out there we've dealt with recently, or something that we've had good experiences with that we want to say has been an actual home run, something that's actually like this turned out to really work well for us, and we enjoy this process, this product, we enjoy working with this integrator consultant, something like that? Has there been a good, a good aspect to this discussion? Because we've been very negative.
Everybody's hoping somebody's going to say something.
I'll say this.
Okay, go ahead.
Direct view LED walls are getting more simple and standard. So that's a positive thing.
I've built a few of those.
Simple to design, simple to install, simple to program, getting cheaper and easier.
See, there's granularity in there, though. They're not all
good.
Good.
AV world. Good job.
Don't hear what we're not saying. We're not saying all of them are good. There are those that are good.
They're all getting better. So the shittier ones are getting less shitty.
Rising tide lifts all boats is what you're saying. Okay.
It's not really a ringing endorsement, Justin. Yeah. So.
If we're allowed to
it's a
talk
positive
about
thing, though, guys. We're
boy! Really got a hold of that one.
There we go.
It was out of here.
That guy.
That dude.
If we're talking about things that I was pleasantly surprised with in the past couple of weeks,
I'm with you.
Like I'm still in testing mode, and I've demoed it to all of y'all. But the Neat Bar Pro,
telling you,
it's kind of cool. Like it's expensive as all get out, but it's kind of cool.
I have one deployed.
Expensive or not, but let's talk about that in a few minutes here, Larry, because that's going to come up as part of our follow-on conversation. But you're right that when I first saw the Neat bars, and there's some of our other ones out there, but they were like, no, we do both flavors of rooms, Zoom rooms or team rooms. I'm like, well, great. There's also a third option called none of that shit. How can I use this with that? And they're like, oh, go away. And then it took like 2 years, and I think several of these manufacturers have now said, well, yeah, we'll just expose all the features via the USB connection for you and do whatever you want. Yeah. So that is a cautious positive that we're seeing.
Yeah. Things are looking up. They're trending up. I think I like some of the stuff, but as long as the processing is at the right place and all the stuff is done at the right place, I like those products. On the box itself.
Put the guarantee on the box.
Put it in there.
All right. So. Well, I will use, because I have several of these files, I will use a home run here. So.
All right. Use one.
He swings and drives one to right field. This one is way back. Way back. It is off the reservation. A home run.
I got one home run in there.
Do we have anything else positive to say about our industry right now?
No, apparently not.
Hey, cabling. Let's give it up for
Yay
cabling.
for layer one.
That's still going strong.
The structured cable guys have it now.
Yeah, we're doing great on that.
I would say the segment we're going to go into is probably the examples, and we'll get there. So
yeah.
All right, so let me, where did I go here? Over here, and go back to this screen, and we will, I don't know, Justin, this is your favorite commercial. Do you want to hear this one again? I know you hate it.
Do it.
Okay.
No, what is it?
Oh, it's the one Justin loves to hate. We'll do a commercial, come back, and we'll talk about Larry's solution to room systems.
It's going to be weird.
We've heard it already. All right, here we go.
Are you tired of juggling between multiple screens and consoles just to get a grasp of your digital empire and keep an eye on all your AV devices? Introducing the game changer you've been waiting for. The All-in-One Console by Independent Amalgamated. A single pane of glass that watches over all your platforms, collating reports and usage details with the precision of a digital maestro. But here's the kicker. It's not some fancy AI doing the heavy lifting. This is AL. That's right, a man named Al.
That's right, folks. I'm Al, your digital sidekick. I manually sift through the data, crunch those numbers, and serve you with the juiciest insights on a silver platter.
With the All-in-One Console, bid farewell to the days of drowning in a sea of screens. Al here ensures you've got everything you need right at your fingertips. Worried about compatibility issues? Fear not. Al's got your back, seamlessly integrating with all your existing platforms.
Whether it's device uptime, routed signals, network traffic, or meeting schedules, I've got it covered.
So why waste time wrestling with multiple consoles when you can have the simplicity and efficiency of the All-in-One Console? Upgrade your digital game today. Visit our website now and let Al be your digital guru. Independent Amalgamated's All-in-One Console. Simplifying complexity, Al at once.
Justin loves that commercial.
I don't hate it. I just think that's like stupid humor. Like,
have you been listening to our show?
Where have you been for the last 4 years?
What show do you think you are? This is not AV Nation, sir. We have a sense of humor.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right, so let's call them like I see them. Balls and strikes.
Call a tight game here, guys. Let's go.
Right down the center.
Keep shrinking.
All right. For our final segment here, this came up as a project I was working on. Larry had kind of a possible solution and started a whole discussion the other day of the fundamental issue is if you're doing a basic, let's call conference room seminar room, but a small.
Let's put some numbers around this, Chris.
Okay, I'll get there. Yeah. I want to set the stage. Smaller room, maybe 16 people, less sort of thing, not a huge table. Everything is pretty much on one wall. You've got your big old display, you got your all-in-one conference bar, you got your PC, your laptop input, and you're done. You're in and out of there for $5, $6, $7,000. Right? Are we good on that?
Yeah. I may differ on that 16 people sentiment, but okay. I'll meet you halfway.
Less than 12, but okay.
Hey, if that closest person or that farthest viewer is no more than 20 feet away, I'll make it happen. So
they're going to be snug in there, but okay.
I'm okay with that.
Right.
But fundamentally, we're going from everything that fits on the one wall and does everything you need all in this nice little
sub 10. Here we go, all day.
Yeah, you're $5, $6, $7, $8,000, whatever, depending on how big your display or how little slightly fancier you're getting. But that's pretty much it. Then you get that room that's like 15 feet, 10 feet longer than that, and you're like, well, the person in the back, you're not going to be able to see them very well. They're not going to be heard very well. They're going to have a shitty experience, and of course, it's always like the chair or the dean who she likes to sit at the end of the table and look all the way down.
Right.
And it's a terrible experience all the way around. And you're like, okay, great. Then you need a full audio processor. You need multiple microphones. You need multiple cameras. You need actual full integrated systems. Well, that number just went from $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 to like $20,000. And that is a huge jump. And that's not even before you get into like all the bells and whistles. And now suddenly you're at 30 or 40 grand because you're in like, crazy town.
Yeah.
We've all built those rooms, and I know you have them too, Mr. LED stuck in conference rooms. So
let's go. I'm in.
But
there's some teams in there, man.
There's a huge delta there between like those like basic seminar room conference rooms to full integration, and there ain't much in between them. And the first person who says Logitech Rally gets things thrown at them.
No, the entire AV
Let's
commercial
go back
Reddit.
to that bloatware thing that we talked about earlier.
Yeah. But and this is a challenge. So I'm curious. This is I don't have a solution. I don't have like I've got the answer. It's called the Owl 7.
Nope, it's not.
But
there's manufacturers that are streaming, but you could just plug the extra thing into the soundbar.
It's got an expansion port.
It's got an expansion port, and that's what we're seeing the industry fumble their way through trying to do that. But I agree. Once you get past that 20-foot mark, you're kind of into this new trend of room that I'm being asked for a lot. Where it's this seminar style room. It's conference-esque. But it's bigger, but maybe they're going to present from the front of the room. So now I need two cameras, one looking forward, backwards, and that's where it jumps up radically, right? And so operationally, how do we solve that? And it does. It jumps up at like a factor of 5 to 10 to get there right now. Now, Larry, the thing we talked about, and you shared, it's somewhere in between there. It's not
that's
quite
what
there.
I was saying. Like, the scenario Chris was talking about, I don't think this is the solution for that either yet. But I think it's
better be. I'm going to buy 40 of them because you said so.
Yeah,
it's the better experience for that intermediate one. I feel like that one where you got the 12 to 18 people, and they want to have a true discussion around the table and make the person not in the room feel like they're part of it. I think this is great for that.
12 to 18-year-olds are a rough group to entertain, though. But anyway, different topic.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the fact that like the camera switches to maintain eye contact, like to me, and it's not built on the processing of Teams to do that. It's built within the bar.
See, I'm still not sold that people want to have that rip saw quick camera cut thing. Like, is that really what people want? I get the ask. They're like, we'd like to just have this avian thing in the middle of our table that rotates around and gets everybody's face. Like, do people really want that?
No, they think they do.
Want what they have in their head. They just don't really think about what it looks like in that conference room and what it looks like. I think the real disconnect is what it looks like to the far user that's viewing it on the 2D display.
Absolutely.
Right. That's why people use Alcams, because they don't think about what it looks and what it hears.
It's cheap. $700 done
on the far end.
They've put some money towards it, and they think the problem's gone. But like getting into that over that crest of like the 20 by whatever spot, like I agree. Do you all kind of go away from the soundbar experience? Because I sub 20 soundbars all day, every day. We'll run them. Love it. Yeah. Quick, right? Pick your flavor. They're all kind of meeting there.
Damn it! We should have brought up General Soundbars as like a home run, because
that's what I was going to say. Like in general, they solve that very, very well. Now, I'm not saying go out and grab a bunch of soundbars and just strap them in a classroom. That's not what I'm saying. Right? Exactly.
Wait,
damn it!
I'm buying.
What if we hung it from the ceiling?
You're telling me to buy stuff.
We're going to hang up from the ceiling, and so it's different. But
only the camera ones.
Yes, only the camera ones. But yes, we typically will go into this approach where we're going to put some overhead microphones, right? Overheads, and then maybe some speakers, either on the wall and or in the ceiling. Pick one. Justin, you can only pick one speaker.
I like to put one of my program speakers on the wall, the other one in the ceiling.
There you go.
On the table.
Same circuit though, right?
Right next to the owl cam.
Yes. And then now you have an extra camera you got to provide out there, because now you've lost your embedded camera. Right. And so it just becomes more of an a la carte system.
And to drive that stuff, you now need generally some sort of control system, which now means you're right on that cusp of like, am I in button panel land? Am I in touch panel land? And it's becoming a whole thing.
Yeah. And I think the extension of the connection between whatever machine is running your video conference you're recording, whether it's a PC or one of the Nooks or something.
Yeah.
That sub 20 foot, okay, great. All these companies say, look at our 20-foot USB-C cable and whatever voodoo they've jammed into that copper. But
USB cable doesn't do anything for the experience.
No. Well, It's the fact that once you get to this little bit larger room, that stock extension doesn't work any longer. Mm-hmm. And so now you have to rethink, this is where now we have to go to some kind of baseband or some kind of network base because we can't just use the out-of-box experience because the extension doesn't work in that scenario. So even if it did, it doesn't.
And this was that reason why I went down and tried. I'm going to sound like blasphemy. Why we did some Teams Room. This was this moment right here. We are, and now it's business use, not the college business, but business use. Like no shit, they are doing business, and like that's they as a.
This
platform,
is a place of learning, Mark. There is no need or call for that.
Wendy's, okay, like that's different. So, but because we had that same thing, right? We had some cameras that. As crazy as it sounded, we used some Hudleys, right? We actually used them with their extension built in, single wire. It worked in the Teams Room environment because I didn't have to go through and do all the external peripheral controls. Like I really built around that, and that was the core experience. And I still pains me a little bit to say, like it's actually working really well, but I'm not saying go put this in a teaching and learning space because it falls apart at this point, right?
Because you
works.
Put it where it belongs.
Because it's where it belongs. But these were those bigger spaces. They were really like, well, this is a segment where I could throw a bunch of different widgets at it and do this whole thing, but it's like almost more cost effective to do this. And it actually is a very solid experience overall. And we're not burdening the user with having to do all these like touch this one and then open this application and do that. It's all just one UI. So, no.
Well, Larry, why don't you share with the listening audience your initial impressions of what you found with the neat bars?
Initial impressions was everything had to be online and work as a Teams room, and so it wasn't going to fly because I just it's going to be such a limited product in that environment on this campus that I was going to have to drop like 3 network drops everywhere to make it work. Once the new firmware come out where it works as just a USB webcam, it allows the soundbar in the center camera for those people that have to have the OWL experience to work in tandem together. That if I'm talking to someone on the far side, it's using the camera on the soundbar, so we maintain eye contact. If we're in a seminar room and I'm having a discussion with a student across the table, well, the person who's not in the room, who's on the far side, doesn't see the side of our heads. If we're lucky, chances are they're just going to see like the first person as they lean over the table to look at the rest of the table. It switches the camera to where it's capturing each individual person staring across the table. So it makes them feel like they're more a part of the class. To me, that was the selling feature. Sure. I'm trying to get away from the surveillance aspect of most of these calls and get the same user experience as close as I can to those students who aren't in the room and the ones who are.
So where are you going to put the center camera in a classroom? Because
you're thinking of classroom.
It's not going to be a classroom.
No, you're not thinking. I'm not putting this in a classroom. I'm putting it in a seminar room. I'm a philosophy major way back in the day, and all of my classrooms look like conference rooms.
That's why I said that's that new trend I keep seeing, that we have a classroom that's like 10 students, or class, not a classroom, a class that has 10 students, a lot of presentations. There's going to have some remote. Maybe they have some branch education pieces that are going to come into this, and there's a lot of back and forth communication, but they're very much around that conference experience, right? And so it's almost, but then at the last second, it's not exactly the same because we do have an instructor and a teaching position potentially, and so it's an intriguing ask that I keep getting. That this is kind of this new trend I see, and I'll agree with you, Larry, that I was impressed by the Neat Bar. We actually have one deployed as a.
Well, I think to clarify, because I started digging this, it's the Neat Bar Pro, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's like 4 different versions of this thing, and they all look the same.
Yep.
And the latest firmware.
The latest firmware makes it more agnostic, right? Whereas we did it in the Zoom room, and we were amazed just as the Neat Bar Pro, without the additional camera microphone set, it covered a surprisingly large space. Like it was definitely punching well above its weight class.
Yeah, and it captures each individual participant in their own window. And so even though the camera is super wide and all, it's zooming into each individual person, and that's another big selling feature because it's actually like the camera isn't great because it's such a wide camera, but it's zooming into each individual person enough that the experience is pretty good.
Does it mix and match with cameras in the little center thingy so it mixes some of those in too?
Right now, it doesn't. Like if you're looking at the screen, everybody's looking at the screen. It's using that camera for everybody. If you're talking across the table, it switches to the center camera. At some point, they might change that, but I don't know.
Because I've seen this from other manufacturers. I think this is an intriguing option with you've got your all-in-wonder conference camera bar, but then there's a module you put on the table. Logitech makes one of these. I can't remember what it's called. It's got like a little circular thing. Of all people, Owl Labs has this thing where they have an Owl Labs camera bar, which is just, like anybody else's camera bar, but it can connect with certain versions of the Owl and kind of share those. And now you have multiple mics and multiple speakers. And in theory, if that works the way that it does, I like that this is kind of becoming a thing to say you can start with a conference camera bar or whatever, but you can extend on top of that. At the far end of that, you've got Sennheiser has their one that's the camera bar acts as a Dante endpoint. So now you can make it play nice with other. I've got a mic on the table. I've got a mic in the ceiling, and you can kind of mix all that stuff together. So I like this new kind of like mini ecosystem. This like the delta between a all-in-wonder conference bar and full system. So I can do this, and then I can add a few other things and improve the experience. And Justin, to your point, the part that they always forget is improve the experience of the people on the far side, because everybody in the room is pretty much already able to see and hear everything. It's the people on the far side who all of a sudden are getting, hey, there's a question from the person who's 30 feet away from this camera. I can't see them or hear them. Or Larry, to your point, I'm looking at the side of their head the entire time. This is a terrible experience. So I like that there's like this burgeoning ecosystem of things that it's basically, I think in all of these, and correct me, but it's conference bar plus a thing or two on the table seems to be the solution.
And the important thing is when these first came out, the thing or two on the table were connected with proprietary cables. All the ones I've seen lately, like the Neat Bar Pro, it's standard Cat 5
world
structure cable.
we use a 8-pin Cat 5e, but with a different pinout.
Yes, we bought these because they were surplus from Cisco. We figured we'd use them. Yeah.
Is there a mic built into the center camera?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so all of these add a camera and a mic.
Yes. To that further room. So if you had a really long table, would you have 2 or 3 center cameras so that you pick up
some of them do. Some of them are starting to do that.
Some of them do. And that's supposedly on the roadmap on several companies that they're going to make several of them work together. As of right now, the Neat Bar, I've only tested it with 1.
Does it work with 2? You've only tested with 1, or does it only support 1?
I don't know with the new firmware if it's added it or not.
Larry, go buy more stuff.
I cannot buy any more of these.
So, Justin, to that point, I know that Logitech, and I'm misspeaking here. I got to give them credit on this. A, they use standard Cat out-of-the-box extension cables, so they learned their lesson on that one. And 2, they can do up to 2 of these things on the table. Now, I have not used this one, and I have the same reaction to you that like they're going to have to earn back my business after like 20 years. But
I don't care.
Yeah, can you go ahead and put these 17 drivers on there and none of them work?
But I'm just saying from a hardware standpoint, I think they're doing that correctly. The software is its own thing. I think the Owl Labs version is 1 camera on the table and then 1 conference bar, I think, but I may be misspeaking on that.
Maybe 2.
Neat, I've seen they can do up to 2, and there's somebody else out there who I'm misremembering. They're probably angry at me right now, but I can't remember who. But
we saw some of this coming out of like the Infocom. Like we started seeing these stitching and auto, switching camera systems and all that. And I think we will see more of that because I think there is this in between that we want to kind of serve.
I run into it all the time. Yeah, it's huge.
Right? And so we don't want to make it more complex. It needs to work as easy as that first version. Just needs to be this larger space.
And to manufacturers listening who are working on things like this or thinking about it or whatever, put all the processing on the device itself, not on my computer, because we run into those scenarios where someone's going to bring in their laptop, and Justin, to your point, they don't have the software installed or it's configured differently, or why isn't the auto framing thing working here? Well, because it's all these different things. Put it on the device, and yes, they're going to say, but that's going to raise a little bit of cost because it has to have a bigger processor memory. Fine. I don't care. If I'm paying $2,000 or $3,000 for that thing, it better do all that stuff right now.
Because it's a nightmare to support, because every time the software needs updating, it doesn't work. Our features don't work. Well, the software didn't load correctly on startup. Yeah, I've had those problems. It's real.
Please refer to the previous segment. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So there you go. We've solved it.
We're done. Still costs a little bit more. No way around that.
It does cost you more. Well, so I'm working on this right now for a project that is it's that same challenge. It's like the room is too big. It's like 32 feet to the farthest person. He's like, you can't put a camera bar in there. It's just way too big for that. But if I can get something like this that has a table element and they work together, and yes, maybe that costs me 12 or 15 grand, that's doable, because the next step is we go full PTZ and control system and you're in 35 grand land. I don't want to do it.
I don't think people's have their expectations in that. Like they've seen and you've had a lot of success in the small rooms and they're like, well, shit, this is only slightly larger. We should be able to do it. So yeah, a couple bucks.
It should be easier than it is.
It is.
Did we do it? We're wrapping up?
Yeah,
we're done.
We made it. Congrats.
I hear music.
Is that what that is?
Yes.
Well, we've managed to ruin yet another episode of AV Super Friends Off the Rails. You can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com. If you complain loud enough, we might just invite you on the show.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV Super Friends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.